Today, the latest weapons, coupled with the fighting skill of the American soldier, stand ready, on the alert all over the world to defend this country, you, the American people, against aggression. This is The Big Picture, an official television report to the nation from the United States Army. Now, to show you part of the big picture, here is Sergeant Stuart Queen.
After World War II, we watched a struggle beginning to develop between communism and the free world. The struggle at first seemed to draw most of our attention to Europe, to Germany and the Iron Curtain countries. Today on The Big Picture, we'd like to draw your attention to our other front, the Pacific. Here, as in Europe, the free world faces Soviet communism at close range. And here also, a former enemy has now become an ally. Japan, as well as West Germany, is vital to the defense of the free world. It has become increasingly clear that Japan's defense is our defense. The importance of defending Japan and how this is being accomplished is our story today on The Big Picture.
No one has to tell these American flyers of the Soviet threat in the Far East. They know it from experience. Without warning, on a recent flight off the coast of Japan, they were fired upon by a Soviet plane. Shortly after their rescue from the sea, they tell their story.
We spotted the fighters off to our right, and I turned inbound to head back. We were over water then to head back over the shore for a reason that's unexplainable to me. I just turned back, perhaps just a premonition. I turned back to a heading of west, and when we were on a heading of west, I was notified by one of the crew members that a pass was being made, and in the same breath, a firing pass. Flames reported outboard of number 1, and we have no way of controlling them outside of the engines, so I decided in the interest of the safety of the crew that we should leave. We did not fire back as much as I would have liked to, simply for one reason, that I did not get my mission accomplished, and either myself or someone else from our outfit was going back to get those pictures.
An incident such as this serves to remind us that in the Pacific, the front lines of the Cold War are often somewhat warm. Here in Asia, a narrow sea separates Japan and the free world from Soviet communism. Along this unmarked battlefront, there is the constant danger of a communist attack. If Japan were to fall under Soviet domination, the gain for communism would be tremendous, not only in industrial strength, but in the securing of valuable warm water ports on the Pacific. To prevent this possibility, a strong, well-defended Japan is vitally important and necessary, not only to ward off an attack such as occurred in Korea, but to maintain our own system of defense in the Pacific. In the constantly shifting picture of world events, since the close of World War II and since the Treaty of Peace of 1952, Japan has emerged as an important potential ally of the nations opposed to Soviet communism. We have made peace with a one-time enemy, and it is not in words alone. Our nation and Japan have begun to cooperate in a new and growing Western Pacific defense system, in which the Japan of today is the principal bulwark. The desire of the ordinary Japanese to live in peace, the completeness with which Japan has accepted a democratic way of life, such factors have helped to allow this energetic country to rebuild its war-torn cities and to proceed rapidly along the road to post-war recovery. The chief legislative body of Japan, the Diet, no longer responds to the wishes of a ruling class. Gone forever is the domination of the warlords bent on carrying out their dreams of world domination. Instead, Japan is governed by the people themselves through their elected representatives. Today, the voter rules Japan. Given their first chance to really have a say, the Japanese have already proven themselves to be great lovers of freedom and important potential allies in the Cold War between East and West. With women voting too, for the first time in Japanese history, this country is quietly undergoing a revolution toward democracy. Yet it would be a mistake to judge post-war Japan by looking only upon what is new and recently changed. Ancient customs and beliefs continue. Here, for example, there is a gathering to watch a very old sport, the Yabusama, in which archers shoot arrows at a target while galloping swiftly on horseback. The game is staged on the same course used 7 centuries ago. Outside the big cities, one can see that Japan is poor. No longer can it derive wealth from colonial possessions. More than ever, it must rely upon the sea for trade and for all the contents thereof, not only fish, but other edibles such as seaweed. Perhaps the most important factor in the future status of Japan as a nation and as a self-sufficient partner in a Western Pacific defense system is her ability to trade with the rest of the world. Trade seems the most likely means of strengthening Japan's economy, and energetically she is pursuing this course. From her excellent harbors, her products are now being shipped to world markets, and it seems clear that she will be successful as an industrial nation competing for these markets. In anticipation of greater commerce with the rest of the world, she is building more ships with help from the United States through the Mutual Defense Agreement. Our aim is to help Japan help itself, for her sake as well as our own. Our actions are based upon the realization that the communist danger is a real one, and steps must be taken to face it. The clarity of the Soviet threat to take Japan by one means or another can be seen in the May Day riots in Tokyo during the last few years. Russia and Red China, working to lure Japan away from cooperation with the United States and into the red orbit, are well aware of the advantage of millions of Japanese brought to their mainland as a labor force and put to work in a war economy. The danger from within continues, and Japan has much to fear from a red attack from the outside, as in Korea. Today, the communist strategy is being pushed on all levels, political, military, and economic. Our answer has been increasing cooperation on all levels. In the sphere of trade, we are pointing out ways for the Japanese businessman to discover new markets, in America as well as elsewhere. Japan, in spite of military defeat, is still the most advanced Asiatic nation. Her people have greater industrial capacity, skill, organizing ability, and technical and scientific know-how. We want them as our ally, and fortunately, we are building our alliance on a solid foundation begun immediately after the war. Since the first days of the occupation, we have avoided the role of victor, and instead have attempted to understand and guide the Japanese people. We have tried to show them the way, and then allowed them to carry on by themselves. As a result of this post-war policy, we have earned a considerable amount of respect and trust.